Hello chess lovers, I have another mind-blowing game for you played by Mikhail Tal. The name of his opponent is Niebult and the game was played in 1954 in Riga. Niebult had white pieces and he started with d4, knight f6 by Tal, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, Tal goes for king's Indian defense, knight f3, black castles kingside, bishop e2, e5 and d5. White is choosing the Petrosian variation with the intention of placing the bishop on g5 square, making it harder for black to achieve the f7, f5 break. Now comes knight h5, another popular line is playing a5, preventing any b4 moves and then placing the knight on c5 square, but in the game we see knight h5. Now the knight is eyeing on f4 square, that's why white is playing g3, taking under control the f4 square. Knight d7, white castles kingside, a5 preventing b4, knight e1 and knight c5. Bishop g4, well, instead of playing bishop g4, actually bishop takes h5 is also playable. If g takes h5 then queen takes h5, if f5 then f3. Of course, black has some compensation for the sacrificed pawn, but this line was also playable. But in the game after knight c5 we see bishop g4, offering an exchange of light square bishops, but now Tal is playing f5. Of course, a very standard idea in king's Indian defense, he takes f5, knight f6, the pawn on f5 is now pinned, and after bishop h3 only now black captures on f5. King h1, not a good move. White is prematurely trying to place his king on a safer square, but actually this is losing too much time. It was better to play something like knight d3, placing the knight on a more active square, but we see king h1 and now comes f4, bishop g2, and now comes the knight g4. Already there are some threats of capturing on g3 and then playing knight f2 check, f3, knight h6, knight d3, knight f5, and knight takes c5, after which black is getting a huge advantage. Actually, it was better to play g4, trying to keep the king side closed, but we see knight takes c5. But instead of recapturing, Mikhail Tal played a mind-blowing move. Can you find his next move? Ready? He went for this amazing knight takes g3 sacrifice. The magician from Riga is sacrificing his whole cavalry. H takes g3, which is losing on the spot. Actually, king g1 could have prolonged the game, though after knight takes f1, knight takes b7, bishop takes b7, queen takes f1, still black has an advantage. But after knight takes g3 check, we see h takes g3, f takes g3 with a deadly threat, queen h4 check, queen h2 checkmate. King h1, now comes the queen, queen h4, rook e1, white is opening up an escaping route for the king, queen h2 check, king f1, and now comes the bishop, bishop h3. If bishop takes h3, then white king can get checkmated. King e2, giving away the bishop on g2 square. By the way, if a move like queen e1, then simply queen h1 checkmate, using the fact that the bishop is pinned. We see king e2 and black is simply grabbing the light square bishop. King d3, rook takes f3 check, rook e3. We see the exchange of rooks on e3 square and d takes c5. If you have noticed, all this time the knight on c5 square was hanging. Queen h5, preventing any bishop f5 checks, but now comes the rook, rook f8, supporting the bishop. Rook g1, queen h2, still keeping under control the second rank, not allowing white king to escape. Knight e4, a desperate move, blocking this diagonal, but now Mikhail Tal is landing another punch, this time from f1 square. And at the same time, by giving a check, he's attacking the queen and it's over, white is losing his queen. Another hyper-aggressive attacking game played by the magician from Riga. Thanks for watching and I hope that you enjoyed this beautiful game. Good luck.